Welcome to Shop Talk Live, episode number 293. Today we have Lost Art Press editor Megan Fitzpatrick on, as well as newly minted fine woodworking digital brand ambassador Vic Teslin, the same Shop Talk Live co-host we all know and love. New fancy title. In this episode we talk about hand plane cambering, drill press angling, dog hole angling, and what type of wood a listener should use to build a bathroom vanity. It's a little bit of a quick one, lots of laughs, we have a good time, a lot of good information. On with it. So, Megan is in the cat corral. This episode can be a drinking game. We're gonna have every time a cat comes into the shot on Megan's end, and Vic, every time you have a drill going in the background from your So what's going on?
I have electricians just below me in the shop, and they are providing the lifeblood to the shop today and tomorrow. So they're basically putting all the mounting. It's all surface mount conduit, kind of situation. So they're doing all that. There's a lovely young lady who is his apprentice, and she's learning the ropes today on how to bend conduit, which I'm pretty sure is a little bit of skill and a lot of like magic and finesse, and to get those to all line up the way they're supposed to. She bent her first piece and it was perfect. And he was like, God damn it. But yeah, no, it's great.
I've never bent conduit, and I know I would stink at it because that does not look like a fun task.
Well, but if you can make a ukulele, you're not as ham-fisted as you look. So, yeah, but I mean,
nice.
I really want to make the ukulele.
You don't care about the conduit.
Conduit, I just want up and done, and that's the way I'm going to go about it. So, now, Megan, y'all are you going to be moving the shop eventually too to the new building? Lost Art Press is slowly moving into a new building.
Sort of. The shop, the machines, and like the teaching, the machines and the tools actually belong to Chris and to me. Mine do. Okay. Any of the teaching that goes on here is independent contracting. We don't actually. Everyone thinks it's Lost Art Press, and it is, but it's not really. So it's all independent contracting. So we are moving fulfillment. So we're not going to be using third-party fulfillment anymore. So the entire warehouse is the first thing moving here as soon as at the moment that we can. So we have 2 new employees. They will be doing all the shipping, the fulfillment. We are going to continue to offer classes and stuff out of the building I'm sitting in right now. Downstairs. Okay. We may eventually move the editorial offices over there because that is Lost Art Press, obviously. So that is likely to happen, but probably not till phase 2. Phase 1 is getting a bathroom in the place for the employees. So,
that's always phase 1, yeah.
And a floor. And actually, there's enough electric to power a small city. Having some electric taken out. Yeah. So until that happens, we're not even thinking about moving the editorial offices, but we will eventually probably, but classes will still be here, at least for the foreseeable future.
So no conduit bending in your future either?
I don't think so. No. I'm more likely.
Although out of the 3 of us, the one who I would put money on
I've done
knowing how to bend conduit is
I've actually done it before. I'm not very good at it, but right.
Well, that's better than what I've only seen it done. So, so I guess technically that makes me an internet expert.
You are, as far as I can tell, you're an expert. You should go in a chat room and talk about it because I'm pretty sure you know what you're talking about.
In my honest opinion, I think.
I love it. The 3 of us know nothing of those things. All right, so let's jump in on some questions. Let's stop talking about EMT conduit because it makes me nervous. All right, this first question, this is a great question from Chris. I've always wondered what an easy way is to keep your workpiece square on a drill press when you are drilling at an angle. With the head tilted, or with the table tilted, I guess, if you rotate the workpiece out of square to the head, it throws everything off. Without the use of a laser setup to give you a square reference, how would you keep your X and Y axis square? I don't even know where to begin with this question. Megan. Oh, okay. All right. Like this is one of those, just stop doing it. I don't know. Why you got to drill angled holes?
I mean, we do occasionally use a jig for holding things at an angle on the drill press, because there are times when being able to drill a chair leg mortise on the drill press is useful, like when somebody can't drill very well. We'll take them to the drill press, but we have a jig made to hold work at a specific angle, and we clamp it to it. So if you're doing a repeat angle all the time, then absolutely just make a work holding fixture. I guess it's a jig. Sorry. I always do that. That will hold it in that position. But really the question is, or I would not be doing that unless I absolutely had to. I'd be drilling it by hand. No.
Yeah, I'm with you, Vic. Are you ever drilling angled holes at the drill press?
It happens once in a while, but I think where the question might be coming from is sort of like this, trying to assure a certain like very rigid specific angle, which I've noticed, like I've not really done. I built one stool, and I didn't do it like sort of if I could say like the a la Lost Art Press way where you're sort of like freehanding it. I actually did do it on a drill press. And what I realized is that close is pretty good enough. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't really overly concerned about the workpiece rotating slightly on the table and, that sort of thing. I think it all sort of adds a little bit of tension to the glue up, and maybe that's a good thing. Yeah. I don't know. I think that, I think it's like one of those deep dive holes you could get down in talking about, like, how do you guarantee perpendicularity in one plane when you're wanting to be at an angle on another plane? And it's just like, I just drill the hole.
A jig.
Right. Yeah. In the end, just drill it. And if it's not right, then you know what you did. So.
And don't do it again.
Yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah, right. Don't do that. Right.
I keep trying to think of, okay, now, if I had to do this, what would I do?
Right.
I think I would. All right, here's my weird order of operations. Maybe somebody can come up with something better. If you can, leave a YouTube comment. My weird order of operations would be to lower the bit so that it is centered in the clearance hole of the metal drill press table. So that because that table can go side to side on that axis, right? So that that table is centered on the drill bit. Lock the table down. Now you should be able to measure from the back of your drill press table whatever appropriate amount is. And that should be on a set straight axis to the drill to the drill bit, right? Now you can angle your table or angle your head if you've got a fancy drill press like that. Now you should be 90 degrees to that plane. Yay, nay, no? Am I making sense?
That sounds a lot like math. I have no idea.
I'm with Megan. It sounds like there's way too much thinking going on here. I don't know that I would move now that you're forcing me to think this way.
I know.
I'm not
wouldn't,
Chris's.
I wouldn't move the table. I would leave the table alone, and I would shim the work surface.
Yep.
Okay.
Either using I've seen people use some kind of a hinged situation to and then they can put in a wedge, and then that gives them a certain angle or whatever. I think moving the table it's hard enough to get it where it's supposed to be in the first place. And I mean, I just like to make sure that my table is straight. Like I just use a piece of drill rod in the chuck and then just put a square up, like roughly, perpendicular. And if it's straight, then it's straight enough. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't move the table either. I would move the workpiece with there's a jig in one of Chris's books that we call the banjo jig because people want to give it their drink, want to give everything a name. And so he calls it the banjo jig, but it just adjusts things to a certain angle and then it's repeatable. And that's easier than moving the head or the table, I think, because you know what it's going to be every time.
Well, for me, once I ask one thing out of a drill press, and that is to drill a whole square.
Yeah.
And once that table is square to the bit, I don't ever want to move it. So I'd much rather make a fixture, or now I'm second guessing, Megan.
No, fixture is what you would have
it's a jig.
on the
it's
table.
A jig,
Megan, define fixture, define jig.
A fixture moves the workpiece. A jig holds the workpiece. So the jig changes the tool that it's on. The fixture moves the piece itself. So that would be a jig because it's holding the workpiece, not moving the workpiece.
This is rote now.
I'd have to check the style book, but I think that's right. Yeah.
I think, Megan, at this point you make the style book.
That is actually
the style
true.
book is whatever Megan
I do
says
make
it
the
is.
style book, actually, yes.
So it can be whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that's the answer. Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yep. I am the style book. No.
Resistance is futile.
All right. So, Chris, I don't know if we answered your question, but we sure talked about it.
I'm pretty certain we didn't, but I think, I think you just have to consider what you're doing and like, what is the, like how accurate does it need to be? And, all those other things. If you're looking for like the ultimate inaccuracy, then maybe, a drill press is not what you should be looking at. Maybe a CNC or, something like that can sort of be programmed to do what it's supposed to do. I don't know.
I have a tendency of watching machinists videos on YouTube. And like, that's how I relax after making woodworking videos. And the extent that these folks have to go to assure that everything is at the accuracy levels of which they do is just mind blowing to me. And that's part of what I find fun about watching it. But yeah, I guess you got to really try and not wander there with, if you're making a stool or something like that, just drill the hole, right?
You need a Bridgeport. That's what you need.
Well, everybody needs a Bridgeport. Come on.
Right. Come on.
If you got room for it and the finances, get a Bridgeport. Because
for sure.
Everybody wants one. Megan doesn't want one.
No, she doesn't.
All right. This next question is from Nils. I plan to build a bathroom vanity, but I am concerned about wood movement in this rather harsh environment. When someone takes a shower, humidity levels and temperature rise abruptly, but only for a short period of time. Do these bursts of humidity and temperature have any effect on wood movement, or is the duration too short to be of any concern? Which materials would you recommend for such a build? Is solid wood the optimal choice, or would a veneer on man-made sheet goods be more stable? I would be concerned about delamination of my veneer. So, Megan, you are on the show answering this question because you've made, I think, my favorite bathroom vanity.
Oh, that's very sweet of you.
I love that thing.
Well, thank you. Well, my first initial response is almost every code that I know of requires a bathroom fan or a window that opens. So do that first. But yes, I have built a bathroom vanity. I have a fan and a window in that bathroom, actually. But I sometimes forget to turn the vent fan on and it has not delaminated yet. So mine's a combination of sheet goods for, the wide swaths of wood area, but the legs and the face frame are out of solid, as are the door frames and the drawer fronts, but everything else is out of cherry plywood, cherry face plywood, and I have not had any trouble, and it's been about 3 years. Of course, look at me, I don't shower that often. Maybe I'm not the right person to answer that, but no, I haven't had any problems. But again, there's a reason that code requires a vent fan in a bathroom, and that's one of them. So
yeah, when you consider that like if you were to just go to, box store A and get a bathroom vanity, I mean, it's going to be made out of MDF and some sort of lamination. And so if MDF doesn't blow up in a bathroom, then nothing will. I mean, really. Right. The only experience I have with it is I did it was actually a stunning visual. It was a vanity that was 8 feet long, and what it was book matched mahogany crotch veneer on the front. So the veneer itself was 32 inches wide and 13 feet long were the leaves. And so I took 2 of those, opened them up, and then put them onto the fronts of the cabinet doors, cabinet drawers, all that other stuff. So you got this sort of like this amazing picture of this, flame veneer. And so I was concerned, like, okay, well, is this going to cause a problem? So I did something I vow I'll never do again, and that was I used Unibond 800, which is a urea formaldehyde glue that, when you stick it with Unibond 800, it stays stuck for the rest of its life. It's also awful for you. So I'm blaming a lot of what's happening to me now on that. But the reality is that I don't think you really need to worry about whether you're using solid wood or veneer or whatever. Again, Megan hit it on the head. It's like we have codes that say that you have to exhaust the moist air. It doesn't really matter what you choose, whether it's hardwood or, outhouses have been around for, hundreds of years and they don't explode.
Yeah. I will say I was pretty careful. I didn't use my usual hide glue, because hide glue, warm water, steam is how you reverse hide glue. I used whatever Tight Bond is rated for exterior use. I don't remember what it was. 3, maybe 2, 3.
Yeah, 3. But you reversed hide glue.
You can really tell how much you do use hide glue, because you're like, what's a Tight Bond I've heard of?
Yeah, I've heard of this thing. It's yellow. Yeah, I use hide glue for most things, but I didn't for that. Just like for a cutting board, don't use hide glue. Yeah. Right?
But Megan, you've reversed a joint, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like the amount of heat and steam required to reverse a joint I think is well above what you would get out of a shower, I think.
Oh yeah. It's just, we have this stuff. I might as well use it. So.
Yeah. Look at you screaming into the 19th century. That's amazing. Yeah,
I feel so basic.
I know, right? Oh, well.
Yeah. I'm curious how, let's say average bathroom gets 2 showers a day or something like that. It's half an hour of high humidity or whatever. And then it clears out. It's again, if we've got venting appropriately, it's cleared out. That's what plywood's built for to me. It's just the perfect use case. That's why they made plywood, right? Face frames, solid wood, because we're not barbarians. Megan, you used plywood in the panels? In your door panels? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you would too, Vic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I've lied. I used the cases plywood. The drawer boxes, though, are actually poplar. Still fine. Not a problem. They're faced with cherry, so...
Oh, but that brings up did you use drawer slides? Because I would be really wary of
I did use drawer slides. I don't usually use mechanical slides either because I'm old fashioned like that. But I did there. I mean, it really doesn't matter because whoever buys your house is going to rip it out, no matter how fabulous you think it is. They won't. So But
I'm buying your vanity then.
Thank you. But yeah, I use mechanical slides. So
okay. Yeah. So Nils, just like Chris, stop overthinking it. Build it. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Analysis paralysis. So
yeah.
And have you seen your 8-foot bathroom vanity?
Well, let's just say I haven't received a call about it in the last 10 years. So I figure it's probably okay.
Still holding up. All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, let's see. We're flying through them. Let's see. Let's do one more before the break. This question is from Charlie. I have a question about I have a question about creating camber on plane irons. Do you only put a camber on your smoothing planes? From what I've learned using a honing guide, you can tilt the blade slightly on the corners first and slowly ferret towards the center as you hone. Is there any advice you have as to how much you tilt the blade initially? How heavy of a camber is needed? So, smoothing planes. We're not talking jack, right?
Well, I think it's interesting that he says here, I got to grab it. Do you only put a camber on your smoothing planes? No, my smoothing plane other than my block plane, has the least amount of camber. My jack plane has a 12-inch radius on it. So that's a
12-inch radius.
Well, yeah.
That's,
wow, if you draw a 12-inch circle, it's, it's hogging off. It's for hogging stuff off. Maybe it's a little bigger. I don't know, but that's a significant camber. You grind that obviously, but you can still rock if you use a honing guide, you can still rock a 12-inch radius and sharpen it that way. You can't do a 10-inch though. I used to use a 10-inch radius and you can't with the Lee Nielsen honing guide anyway, which is what I now use. You can't rock it enough to get that sharp. I put a very small camber on my, I don't know what it is, on my smoothing plane, just enough to knock the corners off. And I don't do that S-shaped pattern that he's talking about. That's what he's talking about, rocking it as you do the sharpening and then like starting on one side and then rolling it to the other side as you bring it back. I've seen people do that. I do like 12 strokes with all of my pressure. Well, there's pressure all the way across the blade, but more pressure out at one corner, then 12 strokes over here, then, 8 strokes, and then 4 strokes in the middle, say. The number doesn't matter, just more out on the edges than as you bring in the pressure. That's how I create a light camber. If you're really lucky, you have something that's not available anymore, and that's an Odate crowning plate made by Toshio Odate. Who I need to send you to see if he's still okay. I haven't heard from him in a while, and you're only like 8 miles away. So
yeah, he's just a couple. Yeah.
Anyway, but I don't think it's made anymore. And that is a plate that has a camber in it. So you can use that and pull it back to create a slight camber that you can't even see, but it's there. So all right, let's come back to the cambering plate for a minute. So that was it made by DMT or was it made? It wasn't DMT, and I'm trying to think of the fellow's name who made it. It was a partnership with I can send it to you later and you can put it in the notes. I'm sorry.
Was it Trend? Was it Trend?
No, it was a small company.
It's no longer available though, so it doesn't matter.
There is a different version of it available, but it's only like half of a plate, so you have to do the 2 sides separately, and it requires a special jig. And I don't know how to use that. I haven't tried it, so I don't necessarily. It might be great, but I can't personally recommend it.
But the actual, so like, let's get the concept though. The actual plate, the sharpening plate,
is dished,
which is the opposite of.
Yes.
I mean, come on, like we're always talking about.
Yes,
you got to flatten your stones. You got to flatten your stones. You got to flatten your stones. Well, is your stone flat? Is your stone?
You can't feel that dish. It's very small, but it's there.
Okay. So,
Yeah, if you ever find an Odate crowning plate, buy it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you just pull it straight back, and that creates a light camber. So. However, I will say another time-honored tradition is to just take your blade. So say that this is your blade, right? Just take your blade and go like that on the corners to just knock off those corners. All you're trying to do is knock off the corners.
So for the audio-only audience, you were holding your blade straight up and down, perpendicular to the plate, and you just swipe it across.
Yeah, and I do that on a diamond plate. I do that on my flattening plate sometimes if I have to. Or if somebody else's, preferably. But you know.
And Vic, you were nodding along. You seem like you knock off the corners of your smoothing planes as well. Why are you doing that?
Well, I knock the corners off of all of my bench planes. So whether it's a jointer, jack, block, smoother, I do it. If I'm going to use a jack plane, it's because it won't fit over my 12-inch jointer, and I don't want to be there all day. And so I have, like Megan suggested, probably close to a 12-inch radius on my jack. My jack is just a long scrubber, is basically what it is. Scrub planes, I don't know why they made them so short. I feel like, the longer, you can do a little, anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that when you're putting camber on the blade, everybody gets really fixated on the radius of the camber and the symmetry of the camber, both left and right. And all of that really, in my opinion, doesn't matter. You're really just trying to pull the corners out of the work so you don't get plane tracks. If you sharpen a blade and you end up, only cutting with like an inch of that blade, well, then maybe you put a little bit too much camber on. So next time, just flatten it out a little bit, right? You're just trying to back that stuff out so that it's not in the work. And so, but trying to and as for symmetry with the camber, it really doesn't matter because most planes have a lateral adjustment. And if it doesn't, you have a hammer and you can center your camber so that you're running right down the center if that's critical. And so I think it's one of those, it's a conversation about where we've lost the fundamental reason why we're doing it in the first place, which is to simply get the corners out of the work. There's no magic in having a 16-inch or a 32-inch camber. There's no magic in those numbers, just like there's no magic in sharpening numbers, 25-degree blade, 30-degree blade.
Don't tell them whatever. That.
Is it giving you the results hereafter?
That's our bread and butter. Telling them that it all is really important and matters.
Let's talk about back bevels. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. And then let's really go for it and go into the back bevels. But I mean, you need to. Everybody's looking at the tool and what it looks like, and it's like, what about the shaving and what about the surface? Is the surface, is it have too much undulation to it? Then maybe you need to flatten your blade out a little bit. Are you getting tear out? Are you getting, all of these things are what you should be looking at as opposed to trying to figure out some mystical way in order to guarantee perfect camber on a blade. It just, to me, it's a bunch of navel gazing. Just sharpen your blade. And if you get plane tracks, you didn't take enough off, do it again.
Fair.
That's all.
I think I just came up with the best way of getting a perfect camber.
How would you do it?
I'm sorry. This is the way my mind works. I'm never going to do this, but.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. Trust me. Oh, well, I could,
does it involve a drill press?
No.
Okay. All right.
But luthier supply companies, the Toshio thing got me really thinking about this. Luthier supply companies sell concave sanding blocks in different radiuses for crowning a fretboard to a specific radius. Because if you think woodworkers get geeky about stuff, guitar players are going to take it to the extreme. And so you could buy a 12-inch sanding block. I don't have one here, and that could be your initial grinding substrate for, put some 220 sandpaper on.
It'd take you forever. Just
put some 120 sandpaper.
Just use a grinding wheel.
But Megan, it's not equal and perfect.
Well, it is if you're good at it.
Oh!
If you get out into your shop and practice instead of writing on the forums about it.
Oh, it hurts.
Oh, Megan, I want to totally, Megan, high five. Yeah.
You know I'm teasing, right?
50% teasing.
I can't build a ukulele, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I'm not saying me. I'm saying people.
Oh, well, you know, it really doesn't take much practice. Everyone gets so scared of grinding, and it doesn't take that much practice. Yeah. If you're worried about it, go get a cheap blade at the flea market and practice with that. But it doesn't take that much time to get plenty good enough. So
it's true.
Yeah. I can validate those who were very scared the first time taking an expensive tool to a grinder.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. But go get a cheap blade. They're literally a dime a dozen. Right?
Well, but even on an expensive blade, it just, be mindful and go slow and you're going to be fine.
True.
All right, let's take a quick break.
If you love this podcast, you'll love Fine Woodworking Unlimited. Access more than 40 years of articles, how-to videos, and project plans designed to take your craft to the next level. Check it out.
Are we back?
I'm good. I'm clean.
We're back. Stop cursing, Vic.
Do I have a cat? Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so plainperfect.com.
Yes.
Megan, that's your source for.
Yeah, Odata. They now make a half of a crowning plate and a jig that goes with it. Now, I have not personally used the half plate version, but I assume it does as good a job, although it will take twice as long, as the full plate version that I do love. So,
and everybody should go to plainperfect.com just to geek out on some sharpening.
It's pretty
geekery.
geeky. It is pretty geeky.
Like I'm into some geeky stuff, and this is hitting a bunch of check boxes
it's up there. But Dave knows what he's talking about. It's Dave Powell. He knows what he's talking about. So
right on. All right. So yeah, we just wanted to have that out there for the listeners. Okay. So does anyone have an all-time favorite tool or technique or something to talk about this week? Or am I going to edit out this mention?
Well, I just bought a new chair making tool, even though I'm not a chair maker, because it was just so much fun to use. So
what did you buy?
I bought a Lucian Avery Scorp. It's fun. So he's a blacksmith.
That's just fun to say.
Lucian Avery. Well, that's his name. That's the maker's name. And I believe he's selling them now through not Curtis Buchanan, the Sawyers, Sawyer. DaveSawyer.com maybe. Anyway, blacksmith made. It's a Scorp with a much shallower sweep than the one that people have been using for years that Mike Dunbar recommended, which is the Bar Scorp, BARR. Still, that one works really well, but it's has a much deeper sweep. I like the Avery one because you can adjust how much of a cut you're taking simply by moving the tool to the right or left. And I didn't really need one because I'm not a chair maker and I like building flat things, but it was just too much fun to use. So I had to have one.
Scorps are a blast.
Yeah, good times.
Vic, do you have a Scorp?
No.
I don't have a Scorp. I'd like a Scorp. I'd like to try to make some chairs, but I haven't gone there yet. But I want to go there because I think it's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't own a Scorp.
It's so much fun to say though. Scorp.
Yes, Scorp.
Scorp is one of the best tool names.
Great word.
So Megan, do you have, when you're making are we calling what do you chair seat, whatever.
Saddling a seat, yeah.
Saddling a seat, thank you. Do you have all of the doodads, or are you going from a Scorp to a scraper?
Oh gosh, no. Okay. I go from a Scorp to a as if I've made so many, but the few times that I've done it, I go from a Scorp to a Travisher and then to than to a scraper.
Okay.
And combination of scraper and sanding at that point. So.
Okay. I was just wondering because I'm on this little site, lostartpress.com, looking at
I've heard of it.
the Lucien Avery InShave Scorp thing.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's leaving a pretty nice surface too. So yeah.
Well, it depends on how deep of a cut you take with it. Like any tool, you could, a smooth plane can take a really deep cut too if you push out that blade far enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we should explain for those who don't know. Scorp is basically like it looks like a draw knife that you drove over with a car.
Yeah, it's a curved draw knife.
Yeah, it's a curved draw knife, and super fun tool to use.
It is. It is not my favorite tool, but it's my favorite new tool. So
yeah, well, that's all-time favorite tool of this week.
Right, exactly.
That's
one of the students downstairs is using mine right now, and I'm a little worried, but I know how to sharpen, so it'll be okay. Right.
Nice. Vic, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just got back from Australia. And,
how was that?
It's Australia, man. It's lovely.
I'm so envious.
Yeah, Melbourne is fantastic. The coffee is like second to none. It's lovely, and there's so many good furniture makers down there. It blows my mind how many talented people there are. But yeah, I was hanging around with. I had to go all the way to Melbourne to hang out with Aspen Golan. And so we were chatting. It's like, we don't live all that far from each other. Same with Andy Buck, who teaches at Rochester Institute of Technology. And so we just hang out down there. So, but every time I go down there, and I know that sounds like I've been there a lot, but actually I have. And I just, ever since I got a tour of the H&T Gordon facility, and I say facility like it's like this sterile sort of like manufacturing plant. It's really not. It's like the opposite of that. But watching Terry make planes and like seeing how he basically goes and he harvests the wood and then he blanks them out and then lets them sit for a couple of years, and then he roughs them out and then lets those sit for a few years. And then if it survives all of that, then he will turn it into a plane. So ever since then, I always come back with one. And this year I came back with a beautiful ringed gidgey. This is the wood it's made out of. Ringed gidgey, which is basically like curly gidgey shoulder plane. And this thing is just absolutely gorgeous, and it feels lovely in your hand. And I didn't need a shoulder plane, but I bought it because it was just, I kind of like look for the pretty things in his booth. And that was the prettiest thing. So I was like, I'm taking that. So that's my favorite tool this week. I'm going to sharpen it up, and I'm going to tune some shoulders with it, and then I'm going to use it whenever I need to, just take that little bit of end grain off a shoulder here and there.
Nice. I'm going to come in on the other side, and my all-time favorite tool of all time for this week is a lowly Harbor Freight countersink and deburring tool.
Oh yeah, very useful.
It is just, Michael Fortune told me. He was like, "Oh, get this one. It's from Harbor Freight. Just go get it."
He loves Harbor Freight. I don't get it.
He really does.
But he loves it.
He really does. I think I think he comes down here just sometimes to go to Harbor Freight. But wait, what's the Harbor Freight equivalent up there?
Princess
Canadian
Auto.
Tire? Princess Auto. That's right. All right. So this countersink, though, it is generally the style that you would think of more for metalworking. It is the cone with a hole drilled right through the pointy bit. And I've struggled with countersinks all my life where it's like you think, oh, this one's got more teeth on it. That's going to be better, and especially in soft wood, they just like the majority of countersinks out there just don't work well. And I one time came across a countersink that for a brace, I had what's the end of the brace bits called? With is there
the pointy end?
Well, no, the part that goes in the brace.
The part that the shaft?
Yeah, but it's like that weird tapered square shaft thing.
Oh, the tang.
The tang.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can't put it in a drill. But so this countersink was one that was like, it just works great. It's sharp. It works. So I have a brace that I only use with a countersink. But if I had a lot of holes to do, that became annoying too. So I finally broke down and bought one of these countersinks from Harbor Freight, and it is everything that Michael Fortune said it would be. It just leaves a perfect countersink in wood, and I just love it. And it's $9 on the website. So
wow,
yeah, go get you one.
Because I'm with you, Ben. I've not really found a countersink other than an old kind of rosette style one that I had found that's designed for a brace with the whatever we're calling that thing on the end
Tang.
of it.
It's called the Tang now. Megan said
Tang.
so. That's what it is.
That's right. Megan is the style book. So.
Megan wasn't sure, just to be clear.
Just to be sure.
To be clear.
But in defense of this idea is that if Megan doesn't know, it doesn't matter either. So
Megan's old and starting to forget words. So no, that's not true.
But that was the only one that I found that like worked really well. Like I've had single flute, double flute, triple flute, like all that other stuff. And I just found that none of them did a really good job in softwood. So you must use Megan, you must use a counterbore in softwood a lot.
I do.
And so which
apparently
do you find?
I don't care as much as you guys do what it looks like. I don't know, but I have a broken off Insti bit, those combination drill bits and countersinks. And I just used that broken off one as my countersink. It actually has blades on it, I think, if I remember correctly.
Like one of the tapering bits that, yeah.
Yep. I use that.
Interesting. So I have to go find one of those and then break it.
Sure. No, it just happens.
It'll just happen. Just use it on hardwood and it will break. Yeah.
There you go.
If you think a bad thought while drilling that pilot hole, those bits break. So
pretty much,
okay.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. All right.
Well, now I'm going to have to go check out the quality of the surface on my my sunk counters and see what they look like. I don't know.
I just find that the area
sucks?
between like the countersink and the surface gets ratty.
Yeah.
And then if that's ratty, then you see it. And I don't know.
Well, and I've also had them where you're drilling it, and especially in something like pine or something where it must be dull enough where it's not cutting on the end grain. So you wind up with an oval countersink.
I guess
so good for wood movement.
I think maybe I don't care as much. I don't know. Right.
Well, there you go. Maybe that's the answer.
Well, usually these things don't show. I'm not putting this somewhere where it's going to show.
This is yeah. Okay. Now you're getting to the heart of the problem.
Okay.
And the heart of the problem is me. I get it. But yeah, the hole is getting filled by a screw. The hole is getting filled by a screw. Yes.
Also, it's usually on the back of a thing or on the underside of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're right. It does it. Who cares? Yeah. That's the real answer.
I still like this one.
Well, now I feel like I'm not caring enough, and I should correct that, but I probably won't. So
I don't think you should.
I don't think you should either.
I'm a big believer in if it doesn't get seen by anything but the cat, not really all that concerned about it.
I do care what the cats think. It's the ants I don't care about. So. The cockroaches, whatever. Right.
All right. Let's see. The last question today is from Robert. I'm building a new workbench, and I've decided, and Vic, you're not allowed to say he doesn't need vices. I'm building a new workbench, and I've decided on a tail vise and a traditional face vise. I have all the hardware and know how I'm going to assemble everything. My question is, if I use round dog holes, do I have to angle the holes the way you do if you were using square dogs? How much? How can I achieve this post glue up / assembly? And then also he has a PS, and this is my favorite part of it. I noticed that many tail vices have a flange at the far end, which makes an L shape, but that doesn't close tight to the apron. Is this not meant to be used as some sort of a face vice, or am I missing something? So let's start with dog holes. Megan, angling them?
No. Drill them straight. If you look at, I don't know if he's making his own dogs or not, but if you look at the ones from, say, Lee Valley, the brass ones, they have a 2-degree angle on them already on the face part. So you have a choice. You can either, if you're making your own, you can either angle the holes about 2 degrees, or you can angle the face of the dog 2 degrees. And I'd go for the dog because that's a lot easier. Also, it then allows you to use the same holes for 3/4 to hold fast and things like that. So I would just not angle them. I would drill straight.
Yeah, but if you angle them, then your drill press would be a 2-degree angle.
If you can get that bent up on a drill press, more power to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's funny. Yeah, I'm with Megan. Like, drill the hole straight, and then you can use whatever. If you want to use that hole for a stop, if you want to use it for, whatever, you can. And then, I even made wooden dogs for round holes, and I just basically cut a whatever the hell it was, 2 degrees or whatever. 2.6,
I believe, is the accepted.
That's right. Yes, 2.6.
Yes.
Yeah. The way you said that, I really believed you for a minute.
Thank you. I do try.
You sold it. I was whoa.
2.5 is just mailing it in. 2.6 is really where it's at.
I mean, I don't care about my dog holes, but by God, I want that angle on the whole.
Absolutely.
Dog, right?
Yeah.
Are you, Megan, round dogs or square dogs?
Round.
All right. Vic is no dogs or lots of dogs.
Yeah, I think round dogs. I've always used round dogs regardless. Like, I built the bench, I think it was a Michael Fortune article called the modern workbench, I think it was called. And it was basically, it had a tail vise, like in a traditional sort of Germanic type bench. And then it had a front vise, like just used, instead of using a shoulder vise, I think is what they're called. And so that was the first bench that I built, and I got no end of crap from traditionalists who said, "Oh, I can't believe you're just doing round holes." And it's like, why would I do square holes? It doesn't make any sense. And so but it just boiled down to tradition, as it often does with all of these silly arguments. But yeah, I think the round holes are just more versatile.
They're also a lot easier to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we could probably have a whole hour show about whether they should be 3/4 or 20 millimeters. But again, like, who cares?
1 inch.
1 inch.
1 inch. Oh yeah, true. 1 inch. Yeah. Because I think Olmia used to make benches that had like 1 inch holes, didn't they?
Well, we happen to sell a 1 inch hold fast, so.
Oh, well, yeah, 1 inch then, yeah, for sure.
/ crucible, or
yeah.
But have you seen the prices?
I have. They're excellent as weapons too. I can use it against people who come up to me and say, "Have you seen the prices?" So,
yeah. Right, it's just not for you.
That's right.
Have you seen Megan take a hold fast to a guy's face?
I would never. I wouldn't want it to show. Be somewhere else.
That's amazing.
So end vise, tail vise thing. Why does it not close at the end?
I think it's just supposed to be like outboard support for a panel or whatever. I think if I'm thinking about the right thing, and I may not be, my understanding is that that's just additional support for like something hanging off the side.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I was always told not to clamp anything in it,
Right.
because it can cause the vise to rack.
Mhm.
And then you can, because those things are like notoriously difficult to install correctly.
Oh yeah.
Because they can sag, and if they sag, then you got to kind of jimmy them up with, we use business cards to try to like get them to come up straight again. And they were notoriously difficult to set up. And the last thing you wanted to do was like to put something in that little end area and then have it rack, and then it's now all out of whack again.
So why would the end area be there then? It's just too enticing.
Yeah,
I really do think it's for support out there.
I think so too, but I don't know that it's designed to like take the brunt of a clamping operation.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Vic is on the record as he is anti-vices.
Right.
Vic, you're telling me you have no vices? I don't believe that.
I may have one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't use any vice. My workbench doesn't have vices on it because I just clamp to it or the front of it or whatever.
Megan,
Yeah.
you're forced to make another bench, we'll say, because I know you don't want to make another bench.
I kind of do, actually.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what vices would you have?
Just a leg vice.
Just a leg vice.
Yeah, I mean, I use a Moxon vice anytime I'm dovetailing or whatever, so that goes up on top of the bench. But no, just a leg vice. That's all I need.
No tail vice, wagon vice. No. Just the leg.
Yep.
Interesting.
I'm the same. I had a tail vice on that first bench, and then I quickly regretted putting it there because you don't need it. There's no need.
The only time I'll occasionally use it is for doing moldings, but that's it. By hand, that's it. Yeah.
Right, but even then, a lot of times you end up using a sticking board, and you don't need it again. So,
Well, you would if the sticking board weren't buried under all kinds of crap under a bench somewhere where you can't find it, and that's when you say, "Oh, the heck with it! I'm just going to use that tail vice on that other bench." No, on one of the other benches. So,
it's true. Yeah. I mean, just for regular planing work and stuff, you don't really need it. So,
no.
Okay.
And I just plane against a stop, so because I'm fancy.
So why would you build another bench?
What?
Why would you build another bench? Why do you want to build another bench?
Because I've only built 2 and I feel like a piker. I need to build another one. To prove that I can, Ben. So much of what I do is to prove that I can. Someday I'll get over that bad habit, but not today.
I know the problem well. This is like, I'm going to go see if I can dial in my drill press to a specific angle when we get done recording, just to see if I can.
Right.
make sure you have the camera running when you do that.
No, sir. That would be work. Not fun. Well, that does it for this episode of Shop Talk Live. If you have any questions you'd like answered on the show, please send them into shoptalk@taunton.com. If you're watching on YouTube, click that thumbs up button, leave a comment, do all that stuff. If you have time, a 5-star review on iTunes is always a helpful thing for us. Thanks so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks with another episode. Have a good one, y'all. I'm still just reeling from Megan tossing.
Sorry.
I thought
sometimes I don't think before I talk.
That's why we love you, Megan.
Never start, Megan.
Never start filtering.
So I'm better at writing. I have time to consider and
Not
edit.
me. I hit send right away.
Yeah. Oops.